You hit snooze on your own life this morning, didn't you? You've done it for years and you've started to call it being responsible. The truth is, you have just gone numb. You convinced yourself that you will go for the change when the timing is right. The divorce, the new job, that business you keep almost starting. But my friend, waiting to feel ready and preparing gets you the exact same result as doing nothing at all. We call this numbness a comfort zone. You carried this low-level dread in your jaw and your shoulders for so long that your body just reads it as status quo. You are slowly drowning, but you don't even fight it because the water is room temperature. And you know that your brain would rather keep a misery it knows than work for a joy it doesn't. So you walk through life with clenched fists and a tight chest, convinced that that is what being a responsible adult feels like. And you tell everybody that you're fine because everything is fine, right? But when everything is fine, nothing is fine. You know that too. I know the snooze button from the inside. For 9 years, I kept snoozing on a life decision, and for the last 2 years, I knew what I had to do, but I did nothing. So in a few minutes, you will see what every snooze actually costs you and the small, stupid thing that finally got me out. And your version, you can start tomorrow morning. Imagine an open plan office in Berlin. Everybody is typing silently. A fancy coffee machine is humming every now and then, making an oatmeal latte macchiato. And the glare of 2 big monitors is frying your eyes for 8 hours straight. I'm also pretending to look deeply busy with a spreadsheet that nobody on earth will remember in 3 weeks. And suddenly, ping, a Skype message from my coworker next desk. And another one. You will not believe what he did last night. We were screaming at each other at 2 a.m. And then an hour later, he drags me into the bed and, blah, blah, blah,
She's
blah,
telling
blah,
me
blah,
everything in detail.
the discussion, the crying, the passionate making up. Her love is a wild, chaotic disaster, and it sounds so full of life. And I'm typing back, slow, careful. Yeah, that sounds tough. What is this actually triggering right now? My own relationship looks flawless on paper. We're fine. We're 9 years in, stable, mature. At least that's what I'm telling myself since over a year. Then I look at her messy messages on my screen and a cold drop hits my stomach. She is alive and I'm the one slowly drowning in water so cozily warm, I stopped noticing it. I have never once talked about how I really feel in my relationship. Not in 9 years. So for the first time in 9 years, instead of playing along and giving safe advice, I ask her a real question. I let myself be honestly, vulnerably curious about how a relationship is even supposed to feel like. That was my first tiny, huge, vulnerable, brave act, asking one question to the woman at the next desk. For the first time in years, I didn't reach over and hit snooze on a topic that was bothering me deep down. And you do this too. You watch other people make a mess out of their life, blow up relationships, change careers, and from where you're sitting, it just looks reckless. Meanwhile, you stay sensible, composed, the one who has it all figured out. And quietly, where nobody can see you, something within you grows a little more numb every year. Snoozing and hiding under your blanket feels easy in the moment, but the cost will come later. And nearly 2 years later, after more conversations, more books, more courses, I feel 95% ready to face that thing that I've been avoiding. But for the last 5%, I book a coaching session because I can't do it alone. 400 euros of my own money with my coaching teacher, Germany's first professor of positive psychology. She throws white sheets of printer paper across the dark wooden floor. They are all anchors, my past, my present, my future. And she tells me to stand down on each of them. My socks press into the paper, a sharp little crinkle. The past, yeah, it was great. The present, okay. And when I stand down on the future, I'm suddenly on a small island surrounded by a black void. And she just looks at me and lets me feel it. No rushing, no fixing. And then she asks me the one question I have been running from for nearly 2 years. My throat closes, I start crying, and I let myself say it out loud to another human being for the first time. I'm ending this relationship. I'm going to tell my fiancé that it's over. Marty, when are you going to do that? I look at the calendar on the wall. Next week, he is on a trip with his skater friends, a small, clean space for both of us. So I take a fat black pen and write the exact date and time on a piece of paper. And I commit to it. The deadline of my relationship. Think about how ridiculous that whole process was. A grown adult, a trained systemic coach myself. And I still had to throw €400 at a professional so that someone I trusted would hand me a permission slip to do something I already knew I had to do. And I'm guessing you do the same thing, maybe without noticing. You wait for someone to take your hand and tell you what you're feeling is true. Doing this is the right thing now. Maybe you wait for your parents or friends to notice, for a doctor or for some AI on a screen to finally tell you that now is the right time. They will never show up. Your hand is the only one that's ever been on the snooze button of your life. And the math of waiting and postponing is brutal. No matter what you do or don't do, time will pass anyway. You will hopefully turn 40, 50, 60, regardless of a single choice you did not make. If you spend the next 5 years being reasonable, preparing, thinking about it, and then still hitting snooze, the outcome of that timeline is still 0. That's the crazy thing. You get the exact same result like someone who is just clueless and unaware about what's going on in their life. But you're not. You are so self-aware. That's the whole problem. That's why you are wrestling with this, lying awake, overthinking, and watching videos like this. Because from the outside, the person who couldn't change their life and didn't looks identical to the one who never could. Potential that just sits in your head as an ego cushion. It lets you feel special while you do nothing. The rewards in your life only ever come from the audacity to go for it and do it badly, embarrassingly. So look at your body during your day, at your jaw, your shoulders, your chest. Every yes to that familiar anxiety is a direct no to the life you actually want. In my story, a few days later after that conversation, my now ex is in Barcelona and I decide to do a ritual for myself. I go to a cemetery, a small old one in Berlin with overgrown tombs and flowers everywhere. And I sit down in the grass and I write myself an oath on a postcard. I vow to prioritize myself over any belief, over any relationship. I am there for myself. I care for myself. And I prick my finger to seal it in blood, which it turns out is genuinely hard to do. One drop of blood pressed on a card. That was the seal on my whole life from then on. Microdosing risk. That is the whole strategy, which is almost insultingly small, but lasting big change in your life happens with tiny steps. Each dose so small that you can just look over being scared of it. Microdosing risk. My first microdose was asking the question to that coworker, which I never let myself do before. And this cracked something open. Then I read a book about it. I talked with other people about relationships. I did a course. And finally, I invested 400 euros in this coaching for somebody else to give me the final permission to go for it. Each dose got a little bigger than the previous one, and each one felt survivable because bit by bit, I got a little more courageous than I was before. That is how I left a 9-year relationship. Microdosing the risk until leaving didn't feel impossible anymore. So tomorrow morning, find your first microdose, the smallest, most harmless version of the scary thing, something so tiny that your brain won't bother freaking out about it. Tell me your first dose in the comments and then go take it. And subscribe if you want more stories about courage, cringe, and the beautiful crazy of actually living. Remember, the alarm is still going, so you either wake up and let your feet touch the cold ground, or you keep snoozing your life away.